Hello everybody and welcome to Theater Tips, video number 3, Characters. Okay, as a side note, I am really excited about this video because 3 is my favorite number. Also, if you didn't notice, I did in the last video promise to get you a video every month, or I said I'd try. And if you're looking, it's the last day of the month and it's pretty late on that day, so apologies for that. I will try to be more on time with the next video. So, here we go. So, hello again everyone. In this video, we will be talking about all things character. It will be really fun and useful in more than just theater, like in life, in literature, and yes, especially theater. We will be learning about different types of characters, different terms for characters in plays and musicals, like the ensemble, supporting roles, and main roles, character development, being and staying in character, and a special surprise at the end, which I promise is really good, but I will not tell you what it is right now, otherwise it wouldn't really be a surprise then, would it? Let's get going. There are many different types of characters. To get started, I'm going to list some characters you might be familiar with. Some characters that I'm going to list you'll probably be more familiar with than with others, but here we go. We'll start with Elsa from Disney's Frozen. That's a really popular one, especially since Frozen 2 came out. And LeFou from Disney's Beauty and the Beast. Genie from Disney's Aladdin. Belle, also from Beauty and the Beast. Ariel, either from the Little Mermaid Disney movie or from Shakespeare's The Tempest, whichever Ariel you prefer. Aladdin, it's kind of obvious what movie that one's from, Disney's Aladdin. Prince Tamino from Mozart's Magic Flute. Dorothy Gale from The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Moana from Disney's Moana. Bilbo Baggins from The Hobbit / Lord of the Rings, he's from both. Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Larry the Cucumber from VeggieTales. Harry Potter from Harry Potter. And Voldemort, also from Harry Potter. They're enemies, that's why their names are on the opposite side of the screen. The Who's from Horton Hears a Who. Aurora from Disney's Sleeping Beauty. Ursula from Disney's Little Mermaid. Scrooge from Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. I cannot say that name without the doomed Scrooge, doomed for all time from A Muppet's Christmas Carol going through my head. So, yeah. Let's keep going. Olaf, again from Frozen. I think that's a lot of people's favorite character. And finally, Gabriella from A High School Musical. Phew, that was a lot of characters, but that's all the characters I am going to list right now. You probably have a favorite character that might have come to your mind. Keep thinking on that because we will use that in the next slide. Okay, now that we've listed the names of many different characters, let's look at a whole bunch of different character types. These first ones I learned at a theater summer camp I went to once. They are hero, ingenue, quirky sidekick, nerd, damsel in distress, villain, And that's it. Ingenue is one that I had never heard of at all and was clueless about the meaning when I first heard that word in the summer camp. So I will take a minute to explain that one to you. The way I heard it explained to me is that it's kind of the typical princess type person who is a pretty innocent character and a good character, but maybe isn't the hero, but can be a type of hero. The person who comes to my mind is Princess Aurora from Sleeping Beauty. It's probably an ingenue type character based on how I heard it explained. And here are some more character types that I've noticed as I have read books, watched plays or movies, and even written a few books and plays. They are servant, friend, mysterious, peacemaker, guide, and traveler. These aren't like official ones I've heard anywhere. Like I said, I just thought of them based on things I have read and watched and written. But I did notice sometimes people will fit in these categories and not in the other 6, or I can see parts of these categories in them as well. So now let's look at some of the characters we named in this slide before this and find out where they fit. FYI, some will fit into more than one category. The first one we will look at is Dorothy Gale from The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Where do you think she fits? In my mind, she could fit in Traveler, she could fit in Friend, she could fit in Damsel in Distress sometimes, and where I will actually put her on this slide is between Hero and Ingenue because that's where I think she probably fits the best. The next character is Ariel from Shakespeare's The Tempest. If you know about this character, you can try to guess where he'd go. I really like this character, and in my mind, he can fit a whole bunch of different places. A lot of people will probably see him as a servant. I think he could be a guide as well. He's definitely mysterious, and I like to think of him as a hero, but we will put him on servant because that is where I think most people would see him. The next character is Larry the Cucumber, who has played several different roles, but we will look at his role of Elliot from The Pirates Who Don't Do Anything. This is another one that can fit in a whole ton of different places, like he can fit as a traveler, he can fit as a friend, he can definitely fit as hero and quirky sidekick, but we will put him between hero and quirky sidekick, more towards hero, because that's where I think he fits in the movie. Our next one is Olaf, and he could be considered a friend, but hits the mark for quirky sidekick and does that part really well. So the last one we will look at is Harry Potter, and he could fit in a lot of different things as well, like friend, traveler, mysterious, but we will put him on hero because that is where I think he belongs. Now we're on to terms for characters. There are 3 main types of characters in theater, or terms for characters in theater. The main characters, like Dorothy, supporting characters, like the fairies in Sleeping Beauty, and the ensemble, which I will explain more about in a minute. The first term we will discuss is the main characters. You probably know what this term means already. The main character, the star of the show, You've most likely heard these terms before, and most likely you have one or more main characters from a book or movie that came to your mind when you think of these things. I'm going to try to make comments available, so feel free to share in the comments who came to your mind. Belle from Beauty and the Beast is the one who came to my mind right now. Also, there can be many main characters in one story, and the main characters don't always have the most scenes. Think of Genie in Aladdin. He isn't in too many scenes if you really think about it. He comes in at the beginning and then doesn't come in again until like halfway through, and he's not in every scene even after he comes in, but I think he's definitely considered a main character and a lot of people's favorite character, including mine. Okay, the next term is supporting roles / characters. These are characters that are not necessarily the main characters or character, but they're not ensemble either. Google defines a supporting role as a fairly important but not leading part, especially in a play or film. These characters are very important to the story and they are fun to play. Supporting characters / supporting roles can be anybody from Scarecrow, Lion, and Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz, to Joseph Pulitzer from Newsies, to the Soothsayer from Julius Caesar. Okay, Tin Man, Lion, and Scarecrow could be considered main characters. They're not the main character, Dorothy is, but I guess I just put them here. I don't know why, that's where I guess that it came to my mind, but sometimes it can be confusing where a character fits in main character, supporting role, or ensemble. And those three are some characters that are a little confusing to me. Other supporting roles that I thought of include the triplets from Disney Pixar Brave and Dopey from Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. What supporting role character did you think of? Okay, our last but not least term is ensemble. This is the term I don't think I'd ever heard before I started theater. The ensemble consists of all the characters who aren't main or supporting roles. For example, the dishes and townspeople in Beauty and the Beast, the Agrabahns in Aladdin, the brainiacs, jocks, and thespians in High School Musical, and many of the newsies in Newsies. And there are a lot more examples I could give you, but I think that is good enough for now. Ensemble characters are in no way less important than main characters. I've had a director tell me that her and the other people in charge of that play don't just go, "Oh, they're okay, we'll just dump them in the ensemble." That's not true at all. The ensemble parts are incredibly important to tell the story. Imagine Newsies with only like 10 newsies and nobody to buy their papers. A chase through a completely empty street in Aladdin where he's pursued by like one guard. Munchkinland in Wizard of Oz with only like 4 to 10 munchkins, or Under the Sea in Little Mermaid being performed by just Sebastian and Flounder as Ariel watches. Also, many times the ensemble might have to do harder things than the main characters. I actually am thinking about auditioning for Newsies, the Broadway musical, sometime soon, and definitely think that the ensemble parts are harder than most of the main roles. And in Little Mermaid, I've often seen aerial silk artists be part of the ensemble. That is not easy. Getting an ensemble part when you wanted a main part can be disappointing. I went through that just recently and cried for a long time. But I have also experienced loving being in the ensemble and looking back and saying, I'm glad I didn't get the part I wanted because I loved the part I did get so much. I've also heard another actress say she likes playing the ensemble parts more than she likes playing the main roles. Also, sometimes the line between supporting role and ensemble can be confusing sometimes, but I helped you understand the basic idea. The line between all of these can be confusing at times, like I said in the previous slide. Now let's talk about character development. Any role you play in theater, from main character to ensemble, will have some character development. I found an excellent definition of character development on Google. What is character development? In fiction writing, character development is the process of building a unique, three-dimensional character with depth, personality, and clear motivations. That last one is especially important. I've had a lot of directors tell me to think about what is motivating your character, even if you're a fish seller in Beauty and the Beast. You've got to know what is motivating your character. And this definition, even though it says in fiction writing, is exactly what you're doing with any type of character in theater, from ensemble to main character. You are developing the character you play, and you want to make your character unique. Put yourself into the character. It's kind of like what Genie told Aladdin to do in Aladdin Jr. It's time to put the owl back in Ali. Just be yourself. If you do that and put your own spin on whatever character you have, it will be noticed, even when you're in a big group of other actors on stage. Okay, now let's think. Take the time to think about your character when you get it. If you don't have a character right now, just think of a character you want to play or would like to play, or just a character you like. Think about things that don't even get seen by the audience. Here are some examples of things you can think about your character, some of which you might not expect. What do they love to do? Who's their best friend? Does your character have work? If so, what is it? What time of day does your character like the best? What are your character's family members like? Do they have siblings? What's your character's favorite food? I know I've thought about that and it's pretty fun to think about, especially if you like food. What's their favorite animal? These things might sound crazy, but thinking about them helps with acting skills and it's a whole lot of fun. Another one you can think about is, what's their backstory? Where did they come from? What's been going on in their lives? Why are they in the situation they're in at the start of the play? Also, if you're a character that already has some of these answers, you can still make up things about your character. When I was Dorothy, I made up a whole scenario explaining how Oz was really real, and how even though it looked like it was a dream, it was real. And I also got to choose a lot of her likes and dislikes and favorite things. Even though if you read the books, yes, there are multiple books of Wizard of Oz, and watch the movie, a lot about Dorothy is already explained, but I could still add my own personal touch, even though I knew all these other things about her. I did include those things, but I also kept the character my own. Also, don't forget that acting is sort of a team sport. I know it's not really a sport, but that's kind of how it is. Everyone works together in the cast to make things wonderful for everyone else. At least that's how a good cast works. Everyone should have each other's back. If you make a mistake, your castmates will, or they should, be there to support you. You should also be there for the rest of your cast. Well, you don't have to, but it'll help the play be the best it can be. It takes everyone to make a show. Okay, being and staying in character. I've got basically two things to say here. Number one is be in character the whole time you're on stage. To explain this, let me give you an example of what not to do that a director gave a cast I was in. Think of Miss Darbus from High School Musical. If you don't know who that is, she's big and dramatic and excited and has a whole lot of personality in that character. And picture if Miss Darbus, this big, excited, dramatic character, as soon as she stopped saying her lines, just stood there and completely stopped being expressive, completely stopped being in character. It would be pretty confusing and take the audience pretty much right out of the story, or at least just make them be like, huh? What's going on? So, yeah, you've got to stay in character the whole time you're on stage. The number two thing I want to say is that you also want to keep track of your character backstage. You want to know where you're going next. Think about the emotions your character is feeling at that point in the story. Even though something else is going on stage, think about where your character is and what they're doing. You don't have to think about this all the time if you don't want to, but it's a great tip, and you definitely do need to stay on top of where you need to be so that you don't miss a cue, a costume change, or anything else like that. You can also think about what your character is doing before the play even starts. That way you can step right into action from your first entrance, your last exit after bows. Also, as a side note, don't forget to set your props before the play, or at least be sure all your things are where you need them to be. Yes, I learned that the hard way when I played Dorothy. I forgot to set the ruby slippers before one performance. When I went backstage to get them during the scene I needed them, and I needed to change into them very quickly, they weren't there, and I had to zoom to get them from where I'd left them. There was a noticeable pause in the play even though I hurried. But it did turn out okay, so don't worry if you do forget something. Everybody covered for me, and I improvised a little bit. I carried them on stage instead of wearing them on stage, and I put them on when I got to where I needed to be, and it was all good. But try to remember to set your props. Okay, here's the surprise. There's no fun fact this time, but I do want to do something fun. Let's imagine. You ready? What part would you want to play if you could pick any part in any play or musical? I think you can play that part. Do you? I hope you do, because if you think you can, then you can. When you imagine something down to every detail, like feeling how it would feel, the fabric of what you're wearing, the breeze, the atmosphere around you, picture yourself smelling where you are smells like, and really believe that it's real right now, it is drawn to you under certain laws of the universe. You do have to do your part, but you really can accomplish anything. I attest to it. There are also a lot of other people who do too. Even if what you think doesn't happen right away seems to take forever to happen, or doesn't seem to happen just how you wanted it to, don't stop believing. It's on its way in the best form possible for you, as long as you're in vibration with it and are really believing in it. I know this. So keep believing. Don't ever give up on your dreams and goals. Keep going after all the wonderful things you really love and want. I know of a website where you can get started on learning even more about how to make your dreams happen. I'm putting the link in the video description. I know it'll help you get on the path to achieving all of your goals and dreams. It's helped me with even more things than theater. It's LoriWeiserConsulting.com. Lori Weiser is a consultant for the Proctor Gallagher Institute, and she teaches you how to think your dreams into reality and change your life. It's definitely worked for me, so be sure to check it out. Remember, it's LoriWeiserConsulting.com. Well, that's the end. I hope you enjoyed this video and are now prepared to play your next role in theater and your dream role in theater someday, or in the movies, or just think a little bit about your favorite characters or your favorite movies. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for updates. I will try to get the next month's video out more on schedule than I'm getting this one out. Catch you later!